The topic of today's conversation is to understand campus, corporate, and the skill revolution which is going ahead. Attrition rates are going very, very high because of misfits, and maybe we are judging the candidates on some areas which needs to be tweaked a little bit.
So there's no one short answer because we are operating at three levels all the time as individuals, as society which shapes us, and as a workforce where we have to work.
So if you have to name some 3-4 skills which you feel is very, very important for anyone to start their journey or they can develop over these 3-4 years when they are in the campus ecosystem.
See, language is very important.
Language.
Language does not necessarily mean only English, though that becomes a large part of our communication, but there are reforms in our processes also where, even civil services, perhaps you can respond in other languages, and it has improved the scores.
Thank you, Dr. Vashima, for joining us for an amazing session, Change Management, and for having an interaction with our learners. The topic of today's conversation is to understand campus, corporate, and the skill revolution which is going ahead. Because of tech, things are changing and disrupting at a very fast pace. Like to understand, being an industry expert, being a change management expert, and working with a lot of experience, how you see the campus, the corporate, and the skill revolution can overall a broader picture, how you see that things can come together and create an impact.
Yeah, thank you, Mohit. Pleasure to be here, and it was a pleasure to see the young ones. So yes, this question is now not only restricted to people in academia or corporates, but the need for transformation, the need for relevant skills beyond just your qualification is paramount everywhere. Be it even in your own field, even if you have done a technical education like engineering or something. When you come to join a workforce, it's different. It's quite different. And even if you have been a very good student, very good learner, aced your numbers, maybe extracurriculars also, everything. Somehow when they reach and when they are in workforce, they're not able to relate what they studied and they're not able to apply it. And it's not only impacting a person who is trying to get hired or being part of workforce, it's very difficult on the other end also. That how do I, what do I do with you? You meet the qualification requirement. I hired you, let's say, basis your communication skill, your aptitude. But now the kind of work that I do is very different. So if I'm taking you, am I investing time now in your training? Do I have that much of lead time? And everything is around commercials also. So do I have, and long gone are the days, when there used to be intensive training, induction. Now, at least, the big organizations who are always under tremendous pressure to deliver, there's hardly any time to teach.
So building on that, Dr. Vashima, let's say, for example, if you are a big MNC, probably your bandwidth of investing into bringing the talent from campus to corporate and the training wala part is slightly higher. But if we talk about the startup ecosystem, where the time you enter into the system, we expect you to deliver, right? So that training part is I don't know whether they can afford it or not, because they expect you to be very adaptable. The time you come into the workforce, you should be able to deliver. But if we look at the MNC culture, please correct me if you feel I'm wrong, they give you sufficient time to train, and then over a 6 month and a year, they expect you to perform, and then maybe in a longer term, they expect you to deliver on the results part. So how's the scenario right now? Because that was something back in 2014 to 2018, when we join a workforce, your proper orientation, then training and everything keep happening. even at every level of the management you're training, the companies invest a lot in training you. So, but startups still do not have that level of ecosystem, maybe because of funding crunches and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I'm sure that a lot of investments goes into it, but how you look at it?
I'll give you the other side of it. I'm from consulting. Consulting. So again, I would like to draw a difference between the different types of organizations.
Yeah.
Startups definitely smaller operations, very niche product or thought they that they're working on, and they want capability who matches their skill. As you're saying that from startup, their life cycle is also very extremely tough, and they want that kind of people. So for them, let's say if it is a product that they are working in, anyone from that domain or with that skill, and since it's just one kind of work that they are going to do, if they hire well, then they'll be able to sustain.
Yeah.
Larger organizations, and I would say, let's say tech giants, where they are working on large, massive projects. There also they have lead time to train, because again they'll be training for a product or for a work.
Yeah.
But if the life cycle of the project is long,
Yeah.
then they have time to invest.
Yeah.
In consulting world, all your projects may not be of that long duration. Your one project varies from the other one, and the skill set also it has nuanced. So then there is no training. You may do the requirements that okay, this is what we are going to do. Sometimes you learn on the job. So plus you may not have training content for everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
L&D team also is, L&D team can look at your behavioral, cultural, your program management skills. Those are which are required for you to be an. But for your domain, and let's say for something that you're doing, even the content is not available.
Yeah.
So it's a very paradoxical situation, and we have to. One of the things that everyone is talking about now is on-the-job training or internships, which as a policy level also the corporates or other organizations are being asked to invest. I think that's one of the better ways to teach and train and make the workforce work on things which is which is helpful to them, obviously, which is helpful to the organization also.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying, that learning and training it has a role, but if that content is not moving, and that comes to the question of skilling organization and academia also. That what are you teaching?
Yes.
Are you using case studies which are relevant from today, or are you looking at your usual stories and how you are doing? So it's there's no single answer to it. There are lots of stakeholders, and from a user, if in this entire case it's a student who's trying to get a job, the onus is on that child also to keep updated, to keep learning, and not, even if you have to answer an examination to succeed in this entire structure, it doesn't stop you from reading other stuff. Not looking at page 3, but looking at other pages of the newspaper. And this is the digital world. Long gone are the days you're going to a library to find what do I need to read.
Exactly. Yeah.
So again, every actor in this entire scenario needs to change, needs to be proactive, needs to relook at how we are doing things.
Yeah.
And then only we'll be able to absorb the workforce. And even work delivery and whatever you're working towards gets more impact.
Yeah, that is so true. I guess that you're trying to say that industry and academia needs to come together. There need to be a sync between what is expectations, so input and output can be mapped in that way. Coming to the education sector part, if we pick up the maybe developing and poor countries, 90% of the youth stays there. And considering the unemployment crisis which we are going through right now, focusing on these 90% of our demographic dividend is very, very important. If we really have to solve and maybe if you have to fuel the economy, then focusing here is very, very important. I still feel that Education Institute have not done justice with that. We are growing, but still the education system is not equipped, or maybe they have not mapped them with the industry expectations. So how you feel the immediate 2, 3 things which Education Institute must do so that they can, upskill the existing people and can build up on that?
So Mohit, education doesn't start from your class 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
It begins at the foundational level, and since we are talking about the demographic dividend, that means our last mile bacha is also
Exactly.
here. So we have to speak from foundational level,
Okay.
and lots of reforms have happened in last. So one of the guiding principles in this entire reform is National Education Policy 2020.
Yeah.
And in a very targeted way, institutes, boards, they are looking at their curriculum, they are looking at how to reform things, starting from foundational literacy, because again, one of the findings was that a class 6th child is actually not literate to the level of class 2 also.
Yeah.
In their reading proficiency or even in their understanding the concepts. So one is that, of course, we have to change the level at that time itself. It does two things. One is, of course, helping the child and learn better. But second thing is the issue of dropouts. What will you do with this demographic dividend if half of them are dropouts?
Yeah.
And dropouts, along with economic and gender issues, it is also learning issues. The child is not able to cope up with. And the system where, let's say students are made to pass grade to grade, and but there's not enough focus on their teaching levels, their learning levels, even those are issues. So reforms, right from there, now within education, digital transformation is very huge. There is a concept called Vidya Samiksha Kendra. Those are insights based on, along with lots of functional parts, teacher attendance, school attendance. You can now, the states and everyone can, other entities can see it even sitting at the center.
Yeah.
So those systems are there. I'm not talking about the hygiene and the functioning part of it, but learning outcomes, which impacts a child and which is the basis of their growth. Now there are systems where you can actually see how your entire class is faring. So let's say it's maths, some chapter, and and if it's the same curriculum across the state, and if you're doing assessment at the same time, and if it is all digital, so that there's not enough time lost in taking the exam, evaluating, and coming to an insight, you can actually have heat maps where you can see, okay, first two chapters reasonably everyone is doing, but as the difficulty level is growing, then the pass marks or the students are not scoring as much. Then you make targeted interventions.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Newton's law, and the students are not able to write or articulate or even to relate to it. Then you make interventions. You let's say you can create a tutorial around it, which is very simple to understand, and you give it. So foundational, then your middle school, where you are progressing, you have an aptitude. Then you reach your 11th and 12th, where your decision about still we are in that classic problem, maths lena hai ki arts lena hai ki commerce lena hai. Jobs are now much more diversified. The awareness about what are my options are also very limited, and that's a role that industry also has to do.
Okay.
That so let's say it's a data scientist, it's an AI person. You don't have to be an engineer.
Yes. Yeah.
But then you have to train yourself for that. Do you want to do that? there's so many technical roles which cannot be delivered well if you don't have functional people to understand that. So there are lots of roles, and I'm sure, and I'm saying for my, even as a professional, I don't know half of the companies what job roles they have.
Yeah.
Or when you read, you're like, oh, can anyone even apply to that? Because, so coming to education, addressing all this and targeted learning for children. Now there's lots of emphasis on vocational, where again, schools offer what they can do.
Yeah.
One computer lab for the boys and a beauty and wellness center for the girls.
Yeah.
It's so typical. I've seen all of them. So we have to move beyond that. We have to see what national education policy says, and have to follow that in spirit.
Yeah.
Give more avenues. And then when you are coming to industry, when you are when you are selecting your graduation level of learning, there should be enough awareness, and that's where I'm saying industry has to play a role. Make them aware what is available out there. Make them say that, okay, maybe you're doing BA history, and if you're not looking at a teaching job, but you're looking at other things, then there should be some place where I can say, okay, what are my options?
Yeah.
If I do this, what can I do more? So in skilling, there have been some attempts, there's Skill India Digital Hub where it recommends, where AI is there, where, looking at your profile, looking at your interest, looking at your level, it suggests, okay, if you are looking at a drone training, then these are 5 jobs for you.
Yeah.
So we have to create more such, avenues. We have to create more forums where children are able to hear. They're still young, we can't put all the burden of what has to come later in life.
Yeah.
But awareness, definitely. So, I mean, long story short, everyone has to work in this ecosystem. We are doing a lot, but still not enough. I get people and I don't know what to do with them. I don't have enough time most of the time to train them, and how do I deliver? So as a working person, that's my challenge.
Yeah.
As an academia, you have to see that how do I keep my curriculum so relevant? So, are you updating your case studies? Simple exam.
Yeah, exactly.
Children, are they able to look at job descriptions and say, oh, if this is the job, these are the job descriptions, even that awareness that, this is where I'm going to. So,
that is so true. And in fact, like, let's say we have to divide it in 2 cases. We can divide it in way. One is education friction and another is hiring frictions. We'll come back to that. But touching that demographic dividend part, economic survey says that by 2041, maybe we are at the peak of our demographic dividend, where around 59% of our India's population will be the working age population. Now that's a good thing also, and that's a bad thing also. Good thing if we are able to, we will have million of people to fuel our economy. Bad thing in a way that if we are unable to channelize these people in the right direction, then it will be absolute chaos. But considering the current scenario, 2041 is just 15-16 years away from it. I don't think so we are equipped with the required programs or schemes or things to ensure that we are creating that level of productive employment. Now, if we have to solve that problem, maybe creating 7-8 million productive jobs. Now, why I'm saying productive is just not for the sake of creating employment. We need to create jobs where people can really grow exponentially or maybe upskill themselves continuously. That is something which is required. So, if you have to give your expert opinion on that, what should be the approach from educational end to that?
Right. So, we keep interacting with industry, academia, and job seekers on a continuous basis, and government, who is drafting and running these policies. And if you see in terms of what government schemes and policies are there, they're tremendous policies,
Yeah.
which is again looking at the masses. We are talking about the larger pool right now, right? There are schemes, and now there is huge emphasis on refining the content, changing the content, right?
Yeah.
It has to be made industry. There are lots of programs run by industry themselves,
Yeah.
where they train people, and some of them are actually doing it for the larger good. They say, okay, even if you don't work with me, but at least I've trained you there. But there not so many, and there should be more such examples.
That is what internships and live projects you're talking about.
Internships, also trainings also. I mean,
Yeah.
let's say Bosch. Bosch
Yeah.
is a huge training center
Yeah.
where they train also.
Training. Yeah.
And it may not be for their own jobs. Third is what you are mentioning is on-the-job trainings, internships or apprenticeship. So government has this apprenticeship program, which has been going on for years, and there's again a very renewed focus on that. And I've seen other organizations also running that apprenticeship program. They tie someone with you for 6 months. But again, how productive it is, because the person who has to deliver, and I may be biased because I am one of them, is always under pressure.
Yeah.
And if you are delivering it for someone, your quality, your timeline, these two are, they go hand in hand.
Yes.
So whoever I am bringing has to come with a certain level. Then only you bring them up to speed and say, okay, you do that. Now, for the large scale trainings that happen, where will our children be absorbed after that?
Yeah.
Where are those mass jobs? Which are the sectors that are growing? We have to keep a very close eye on them. If FMCG is the sector which is growing, if it's agriculture, if it is manufacturing, then we should train our people in that. So let's say, I'll take the example of, let's say, Gati Shakti. Gati Shakti tells you where is my next large project is coming.
Yeah.
Some airport, something. If you know that for at least 5 years there will be a job there. If it can be made into a dynamic and a more, it can be seen in relevance to skill other than just being an infrastructure project, then it will have relevance. Okay, airport. Think of 50 job roles that will be required. So can we upskill someone and say, okay, this is where it is going to be for 5 years, and then that person is trained for your next port.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was exactly the point I was trying to make on the education friction part. So education friction, one of the major component is the awareness about the future potential job opportunities. Because if I'm aware that if I'm investing this much money on maybe on skilling myself for a particular role, will I be getting the productive employment out of that or not? I guess that is only possible when we have people from industry coming to academia on a regular basis. Like if we have a continuous pipeline of people then in the ecosystem, only then that is possible. Because with a faculty who has never worked in industry, have no understanding of practical what is happening on the ground level, I don't think so they will be in a position to guide the student that this is the area where you need to invest, or in term of skilling yourself. So that is, I guess, very, very important. But along with that, you touched a very important point during your session on the change management, which I would like to put in the hiring friction part. Chat GPT and all these things, the tech which we have nowadays, using AI, I can curate a very beautiful CV, which is very hard to ignore. And considering the unemployment rate, if you post a job within an hours, you will be receiving thousands of CVs. And all of these CVs are loaded with the buzzwords and stuff. With whatever you want, you will get a best.
Everyone has cracked the code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now the thing is how you're going to filter out that part is again a very challenging part. So how you look at that? And my second point is considering I've seen a lot of companies, they have started removing the educational qualification or degree as their criteria. They say is that these are the skills we required. If you are undergraduate, if you are postgraduate, that is desirable or an add-on to that part. So now the focus of industry have moved from degree to the skills they need. Like can you get that job done is something which is the focus area. Do you think that has been implemented to a larger level? Because if we are able to do that, maybe we are able to create, we will be getting the better fitment, right fit into the industry instead of having misfits. Because right now attrition rates are going very, very high because of misfits. And maybe we are judging the candidates on some areas which needs to be tweaked a little bit. So what's your take on that?
So in essence, you're saying that it's not only present, but are we future ready?
Yes.
And are we future proof?
Yeah, because the way technology is changing, we cannot nowadays, like you picked up example, how many times your grandfather, your father has resigned and says that, I'm not comfortable. My father has completely, like he has served army throughout his life. He said, boss, that is something I used to, and I have changed, maybe this is my fourth or fifth job in last 10 years. So yeah, exactly. So now if I'm not changing, either get updated or get outmoded is the only thing which we have in industry right now.
Yeah, our children are in for very dynamic times.
Exactly.
And there are very few role models. There is
Yeah.
no right or wrong
Yeah.
answers, and there is not enough guidance.
Yeah.
All three.
Yeah.
I agree. And so there's no one short answer because, one thing now I'm thinking what I also said. We are operating at three levels all the time as individuals, as society, which shapes us, and as a workforce where we have to work. These three, more or less, is uh, how we are, that's our ecosystem.
Yeah.
Second is, earlier we used to, when we used to build models, technology used to be one component.
Exactly.
Now it is a horizontal bus, it is there.
Yeah.
Tell me which work doesn't have technology, and it is so silently pervasive that we don't recognize it. But that is what is also catapulting the uh, job market.
Yeah.
So we have to see what are we training our children for, what is the curriculum that we are giving. We should talk about fundamentals, we should talk about education should not only be work oriented. There are many people who just don't like this argument that you're not studying only to get a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's building your character, building your foundations, being, if you're a human being, then be a learning being. Your education sets the foundation, and it should not be, अगर मैं कौवे की कहानी पढ़ रहा हूँ, तो it shouldn't be that it should lead me to a skill or a job, because there are morals, there's so many things that is there. So that friction or tension is also there. And I know a very senior educationist, and she told me that why are we assessing a child on कौवे की story में कि कौवे ने पहले क्या किया फिर क्या किया.
Yeah.
It is more to understand that what is the story being told. What did you understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't ask that child to write. That is not important. Don't mark on the child कि वो कोई step तो नहीं भूल गया. So, having that mindset where education is fun and it is, you are absorbing it for a different purpose, is it making you a thinking being or not?
Yeah.
Then your other part, where if you are thinking and if your ecosystem is not giving you enough information, are you even aware that what more do I need to know? So many times we don't even know what to look for. No, then we end up seeing YouTube. YouTube is smarter than any of us. It will give you 10 more prompts.
Exactly.
And you wouldn't even know where did your 2 hours, 4 hours went.
Yeah.
Right? Facebook has completely changed. It is now no longer your own feeds.
Yeah.
If you start seeing that, so our children are actually living in a very dangerous times. Overload of content where you don't know where is the right content. So again, there's no one answer. All of us have to work together. We have to keep the essence of education. We have to see skilling and vocational hand in hand and taking away the stigma कि अरे बच्चा है तो वो तुम vocational कर रहे हो. That means for life you're designated भैया तुम तो plumber, you'll remain a plumber or you'll this. No, even if it's a plumber, and with the international mobility that's happening, where we are so much in demand, but can you go with your existing skills to another country?
That is so true. In fact, I guess you touched a very important point, the stigma around the vocational part. Even the developed countries are still struggling with that. I don't know how India will be overcoming that. People have started invested, but still that level of involvement is not there. Um, Along with that, you touched also on a point on the dropout rates. Uh, Somehow I feel that students are investing more than what they're getting in return. So what I'm saying is the ROI part is not well taken care. Because if you look at the stats, maybe after healthcare, education is the only industry which has shoot maybe 200%, which is way above than the inflation rate. Interestingly, there is one more thing which has shoot than education, that is student debt, which is 600%. Now, if education is not affordable,
Yes.
I don't know how we're going to solve this. But along with that, if you see the population size we have, I feel more graduates we produce, lesser the credibility of being a graduate. Now, again, that's a very paradoxical statement. I don't know how to solve that. One way you are saying you have to increase the quality, considering the affordability part. At the same time, you have to ensure that you're putting decent amount of filter on that, that not everyone is a graduate guy. Like for example, when I started engineering, used to be 10, 12 lakhs engineers every year graduating. Now it is 15 lakh plus. So I don't know, we do not have that amount of jobs, and even the entrance criteria, the filtration part is not that stringent. So hygiene is not placed at that level. So like you said that even if sixth class learner is not literate to a level of second standard, even if engineer after graduating or becoming an engineer don't know about the basics of engineering, then there is a concern around that.
Yeah.
And the affordability part, the pricing part, the education cost is going very, very high.
High.
So at one point we are saying we need to control the inflow, we need to upgrade the hygiene, and the cost part, I don't know how we're going to control on that. So what's your advice on that? Like how we can solve this?
Oh, these are society level issues. And while you were talking, two news items came to my mind. One is there was a data saying that student suicide
Yeah,
in India is the highest.
yeah, exactly.
So, throughout the year we keep reading, not naming the places, but
Yeah.
यहाँ पे हुआ, यहाँ पे हुआ,
But
यहाँ पे हुआ.
institutes are somehow not allowing these news to come in the
Yeah.
public. They
So,
are just
so
suppressing it,
that's why we see it randomly,
Yeah.
right? When I saw that item, and this came last week, that the suicide rate among students is highest in the world. I mean, it's not a happy news.
Yeah,
It's not a happy news at all, where you are actually putting your child in a factory mode from once in a very classic way. We used to say that school and college days are the best days. You're carefree, you're only
Yeah.
focusing on your education.
yeah,
When did we bring so much stress to it? When will a child actually live?
yeah,
No, when are those carefree, happy days?
exactly.
We should. And when we were growing up, we used to think, oh, all the autonomy is with the grown-ups only. But now that I am one,
Yeah,
I am, you are balancing your life every day,
Exactly,
your
yeah.
cost, your everything. So I think somehow we should bring back the happiness and joy of those growing up days to our children. And education again has a very big role to play, and we have to stop making seeing every child as a commodity कि अच्छा बेटा अब तू poem सुना अब तूने कितने extra how many extra curriculum things you are doing. It's putting too much pressure. The second news that comes to my mind is where someone, I think in Karnataka or somewhere, that person in Bangalore, they said the school fees, he put something, the school fees is so high, it is way more than that.
I also read that.
Right? And then, but did you read the comments below that? So they are saying, ki, why, boss, is that the only school in the whole world? But so somehow we have lost sight of, or we are mixing everything together, and we are already seeing a class 2 bacha as either a student in Ivy League, or we are thinking as a person who is working somewhere. We've eaten up their childhood. We're not seeing, is there enough playing ground in the school or not? Is that, so again, I'm no expert, and I'm only observing as an individual and as a society. I'm seeing what's happening. As a professional, yes, I feel that don't waste those precious training and skilling years on things which are not applicable, or which you are only making them do the rote and not letting apply. If you have 2 rooms, please make one room as a practical or a hands-on room. Nothing teaches you more than doing that. In that skilling world, there is actually a 3-minute video on how to hammer a nail. And we were all sitting and we were laughing. But then I was thinking, maybe even that is a skill, no?
That is, exactly.
What if you're doing it the wrong way, and so why not have those micro? So the concept of micro learning, the concept of lifelong learning. These two should come to everyone's mind. If I am working and if I think, I've arrived in life, sorry. I'm not relevant I'm not future ready.
Exactly.
Same is for bachas. They have so much content, so much that they have to be, from their side, judicious in what they are learning. And I think industry has to open up more, and we should tell more that what am I looking for. And unfortunately, we have not modified our job descriptions. Anything BE, BTech is mandatory. Why?
Exactly.
5 years of experience, zero experience wala kahan jayega?
And even some of these jobs doesn't require that level of experience, right?
And you did something and now you're doing completely different. You should have the aptitude to do it.
Exactly.
I think we should, look at we should build it from education side on aptitude and a culture of curiosity. And we don't talk about these things anymore.
Kids have curiosity. This is somehow we very strategically kill that curiosity over time, right? And we're doing a great job in that.
Oh, I mean, we look at any child's itinerary. It is more, difficult than ours. बेचारे का dance class है, music class है, then chess भी है, and then you have tuitions for everything. Then what are you going to your school for?
And फिर कोई भी guest आता तो बेटा ये poem सुनाओ, वो poem सुनाओ.
नहीं, ये poem के बाद तो अब हम और evolve हो गए ना. अब जो सीख क्या है, कुछ बजा के दिखाओ, सिखा के दिखाओ. We are in a race where unwittingly we have put our children, in that race.
So in 2017, I started a startup in the tech space using AI/ML. We were designing softwares for diabetic retinopathy patients. It was so AI/ML were very new at that point of time, 2016-15 के आसपास. So we visited a lot of campuses for doing the campus hiring part, and somehow I felt at that point of time that we are moving from knowledge economy to tech economy, or I'll say that relationship economy will no longer be a relevant term in the coming time because the way technology is evolving, everything will revolve around the tech. There'll be nothing about the relationship or the people skills part. It will be centered around the tech part. But somehow I believe that now still everything revolves around the relationship economy. It is very important that person should understand how to. The people skill is very important. Sometimes we devalue as a soft skills part, but everything is anchored around how well you can adjust yourself, how well you can work in a team and get the things
Oh,
done.
yes.
So that people skills part is still not paid that much attention because tech will keep evolving, but relationship, being a human, I guess people skills plays a very important part into it. So if you have to name some 3 4 skills which you feel is very important for anyone to start their journey in the, or they can develop over these 3 4 years when they are in the campus ecosystem.
See, language is very important.
Language.
Language does not necessarily mean only English, uh, though that becomes a large part of our communication. But there are reforms in our processes also where, even civil services, perhaps you can
Yeah.
respond in other languages, and it has improved the scores. But whichever language it is, a very good command over your language, over your skills where you can articulate.
Okay. So articulation is something.
Articulation with good use of your language skills. For that, you must read a lot.
Read a lot. Okay.
And even if you are responding, even if you have to answer the same question every year, as part of your syllabus, where is your own original thought in that? How did you synthesize 5 concepts and how did you write it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is one, your language and your analytical skills, and that's why I elaborated on analytical skills where you have your own point of view.
Yeah.
Then third is again, curiosity, but how do you define curiosity?
Exactly.
Yeah. Curiosity is defined by, again, your awareness and going beyond what you already know. So listening, what others are doing. These kind of sessions are very useful where you invite others. I mean, I never knew what consulting and tech firms and all these are. We just goofed up our lives. One after another, कुछ आया, वो
Yeah.
चलते चले गए, and
Yeah.
but that's not applicable for our children anymore.
Exactly.
They are in a very fierce competitive world, and if they don't know what they're going to do next, then it's very difficult for them also to sustain. So, future ready is read a lot, listen a lot, listen to the right things, have a point of view, be curious. So, let's say there's this agriculture mission which has been announced, it's all there in the newspaper. Be curious, what can be an agriculture technical mission? What are we transforming? Do you have your own point of view on that? Can you read it? Can you think in a traditional way? You see a drone in a marriage and taking pictures, but have you thought beyond that? What all goes behind a drone technology and what's more happening?
Yeah.
Am I using AI? And if I'm just reading the headlines and it says, oh, AI is taking away all the jobs. No. And how I am different from an AI, or how do I use AI?
Yeah.
And again, unwittingly, we are part of AI every day. We don't
Exactly.
even know that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we don't need to know everything also,
Yeah.
and to know to understand its impact. But for you as an individual, what do you want to work? And our country's passion for movies. Now look at the VFXs and other things that's happening in the movie world.
Yeah.
You need artists.
Exactly.
We have, even that world has changed so much. They're spending so much, which is no longer the tulip gardens and Switzerland. They're actually spending on big, large sets. So, and that's if you if you stay until the end credits, especially in Bollywood movies, there are only names. I mean, there is like 5 minutes only of credits, right?
Yeah.
And animation, VFX, sound artist, recording artist. These are very exciting roles, and you need to be, technically ready for them.
Yeah.
And these will, nobody will offer you these courses, and this is कि ये BA के बाद करना है कि बाद, पहले करना है. There are no such question. Be aware, be interested, find those courses, and put that money to use.
Yeah, I feel that is the right investment you can do as of now. Ma'am, that's all from the education side. I would like to also understand from the industry side, since being a change management expert and you understand the importance of upskilling in this century, how you feel the people in the corporates are responding to these changes? Like there is a dire need to continuously upgrade yourself. So I'm sure there must be a push from your end also, guys, get this skill, get that skill. So how people are responding to that? Is it like the industry is evolving at the right pace, or we still need to pick up speed on that?
See, there are two things. One is within the organization,
Yeah.
and one is what's happening outside the organization. And you would see so many interviews and reports where CEOs or CXOs are saying that nature of my job is going to change. I think unanimously everyone is saying that. So, and who are those people? People like you and me, right? Who are working. And if I don't remain competitive, I'm actually losing my business to someone else.
Yeah.
So I have done a badge in AI, I can very well say that I've spent so many years, I can help you adopt AI, but why do I need to do it?
Yeah.
But I need to do it so that I know what is the impact on your job and what are the new things you need to see. Right?
Yeah.
So I did a 15-hour long training on AI, looking at AI in business, AI in technology, and I realized that even the way you are, how it is impacting different roles. So as a project manager, I have to see, the output that I'm receiving is of that person's mind, or it's, somewhere someone else did it for that person, how relevant it is. Or how can I make some of my work faster? There are few things for which I really don't want you to spend your time.
Yeah.
Those are facts, figures, or something that you can get. Please use it.
Yeah.
So for me, as a change management person, and I did that change management on myself for AI, because I will not be able to make sense of my world around me if I don't know how to use it, where it can be used, and where I have to be careful.
Yeah.
So I think it applies to everyone like that.
But like how industry is picking up, like people are responding it positively, or they're still slightly resistive, or maybe over a time they will pick up.
See, could we resist the banking transformation?
No.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I'm sure our parents are also saying, let's make those, UPI has transformed it for us. So now, earlier these changes used to come in decades. Now they come like every month. So you have to see again what makes sense to you. There was a wave of blockchain, now there is AI, there's something else now there's twin technology, there's so many things which are coming. So I think you have to keep yourself rooted also, otherwise it will be the case what we did with our children, beta ye bhi kar le, wo bhi kar le, and we have to make sense of it. We have to see that what is going to be relevant for my industry or my kind of work, what is it, and lots of issues around security and privacy. What is it that I'm putting in public? Can I put a government document on ChatGPT? Perhaps not.
Yeah.
So there's no straight answer to it. You have to be judicious. You do have to adopt. You do have to see whatever is coming, how does it impact your work. If it is increasing your efficiency, you need to know. If it is impacting your work adversely, you need to know. How to use it, you need to know.
So having your own opinion and that can only be done if you have decent amount of awareness.
Yes.
You're continuously reading.
So learning and so the learning and development team have huge tasks. You will see that the many corporates or many organizations actually go out and say that how many people they have upskilled.
Yeah, and they take it very seriously.
They take it very seriously.
Yeah.
So, and again, changing your way of working is only possible if you transform the way you work.
Exactly.
And it's no longer static.
Yeah.
It's no longer. So I think we keep talking about how it is impacting young ones. It's impacting us also.
Absolutely, yeah. It is impacting
It's
everyone.
everyone. Your 4 jobs or my 5 jobs. It's never been an easy journey.
Exactly.
You don't know what is coming your way next. How do you, with years of experience, maybe you learn how to adapt.
Yeah.
But skills, there's no short way to it. You have to learn. And adapt yourself.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Dr. Vashima, for joining us for an amazing conversation. We'll be keep looking forward to welcome you on our campus and again and again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Lovely being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.